name is Ham Donishman, and thank you for joining for another session of our Verasys video training. Today we're going to be talking about our application, different application that we support, and one of the application is the zoning system application. We have two different types. One is the changeover bypass system, and the other is a VAB. But today we're going to talk about the changeover bypass system, and another video will cover a VAB system. So we just want to kind of give you some high-level information. What is it that you would have to do when you are bringing a system online for the first time, and what are the areas that you want to really focus on to commission and bring the system online as quick as possible. So if you're hopefully you have seen some videos around the topology of the Verasys system and how the zoning topology looks. So what you're looking at on the screen right here in the center here, this is a changeover bypass system, and it has about 4 zone dampers underneath it. So if I look at a topology, and at the highest level we will have what is called our zone coordinator, and it has a distinctive address on our system bus. And one thing I guess to take away here, anything that is dark blue with an address in the middle of it, that is really a quick indication of the topology that all those devices were on what we call a system bus. And then when you have a zoning system, you will have your zone coordinator on the system bus, and then when you have the lighter box color with numbers in it, that would be your what we call a zone bus. So the zone bus comes off of the actual zone coordinator, is a totally separate independent bus, and it will pick up all the associated rooftop bypass damper and all the zone dampers. And that's why from a user experience, you would be able to quickly tell that these particular devices here are associated with this zoning system and this zone coordinator. So again, one other thing to comment here, from an addressing scheme perspective, we don't have any rules in place. I address these just pretty easily to know from a perspective of start from 4. You really want to start from 4. I don't think you want to go below 4. There's reserve addresses that we don't want to mess with, like 1, 2, and 3, or actually 0, 1, 2, and 3. So you always want to kind of start from 4, both from the zone bus perspective or even the system bus perspective. And then in this case, I address these at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, but it could have been 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It doesn't matter from any kind of rules in place from an addressing perspective. So at the highest level, when you click on the actual zone coordinator, you will see the home page, and the home page is also organized in a very topology. From a topology perspective, you will see the rooftop, some information about the rooftop. You will see then the zones underneath it. Apologize for some of this data. As you can see, the supplier 24.2, that would be a major problem if we had a 24.2 degrees here. This is a demo site, and we've been faking some of the data that's going inside some of these values. So this is not a real site, it's just for training purposes. And again, at the highest level, you will be able to see your zone dampers. And this is really a very good page to look at to be able to tell you right away that what is my zone is doing at the highest level. And so if it's the zone temperature 78 degrees, and what is the vote is asking it to do. Does it need urgent cooling? Is it satisfied? Does it need heat? Does it need cool? Or does it need urgent heat? So again, this is a demo site, and we have all these zones that are asking for urgent cool, which basically gets us to a point that we need to be in a cooling mode. The other thing that you will see is, again, this is being a demo site, and I'm not really showing that here, but maybe I'm going to do a little bit of ad-libbing here. I am going to go to a job site. Maybe I should have done that from the beginning. A real job site. And I'm going to log in to a changeover bypass system that I could see some real values. And I've done this video about 2 or 3 times already. I'm not about ready to stop it and restart it again. So apologize for that, but be patient, and I will get to what I need to get to in just a second. So, alright, so this is a real site that I just tied into. There's the zone coordinator, and these are the offices that are being tied into this particular zone coordinator. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that zone coordinator, and again from the highest level you will see what the fan is doing. It's running continuous on during occupied period, supply of 64, unit status is at cooling. So and then you can see right now it's satisfied, satisfied, satisfied. I do have one zone that's cooling, asking for cooling, and the rest of them are satisfied. So this is again from the highest level, that's what you would see. If I go to the next page, or at least next selection, this is the unit. You have high level stuff here from the standpoint as the unit is enabled, and if you have any kind of occupancy or temporary occupancy coming from the network, and this is where you change your timeout for your temporary occupancy, and you can change this, and you could go up to 480 minutes or as low as of 30 minutes. So this is the little button on our network sensor that's connected to your zone damper. If somebody pushes that or changes the knob from a set point perspective, that will give you get you in that temporary occupancy if you're in an unoccupied mode. Excuse me. And then depending on the setting here, that's how long the system would run. So the next, really the big area here from a commissioning of the zone coordinator, you gotta kind of think about, it comes in default as auto, but if in case you want to make sure the unit's always going to run into cool, always run into heat, you can also change that as well. During the balancing moded system, you do have an option that we could turn on balancing to on, and what that does is basically blows fan 100% or fan on, and then all your dampers will go into 100% position, so be fully open. We also have our Title 24 test mode here as well, and this is based on the Title 24 of the California. And then we also have construction mode, so during the construction phases you can come in here and set the unit before have all the zone dampers actually operating. You could basically have the unit itself to go into cooling or heating if you like during the construction mode. The other options here from a controller perspective, it gives you the firmware revision, it gives you the address, which is a dip switch on the zone coordinator itself, and then you can change the device void on this thing, which is the backnet ID, and it does have your time and date. The relearn part of this is whenever there's some sort of a issue possibly with a zone damper that it's not part of the system, or a sensor that's not really needs to be part of the system, you basically do a relearn, and it understands what the system needs to do based on the inputs and outputs that are in the system. Details, it's really getting you a little bit more information and about what is our actual voting is doing throughout the system, and as far as this area right here, it gives you how many votes are in the system right now. We have one cool into the system right now. We have a minimum changeover timeout from between when it goes from heat to cool, so we got to set to 15 minutes. You could go as low as 10 or as high as 60 minutes. And this is where you actually set your cooling set point, discharge air supplier temperature, heating set point, and then this is where you also set your heating set point. Even though this is a zone coordinator, this is where we put the set points, which the zone coordinator will control and operate and feeds it into the rooftop itself. The minimum request to change and minimum urgent request to change is also being put in this area right here, and you could change that number based on what your requirement is. So minimum request to change is 2, and you could go up to 4 or as low as 1, and then minimum urgent request to change is 1. So if there's an urgent 1 vote, that's all it takes to go into cooling, and if it's an urgent urgent request. And it does have a little bit of status input here that the changeover state cooling timer has expired. The zone coordinator also keeps the schedules for all the devices that are underneath it. So when we cover schedule sync, which is a different video, when that schedule sync provides an occupancy schedule, it feeds it into the zone coordinator, and then the zone coordinator is actually controlling the occupancy time Monday to whatever time settings you have, and it will associate that, or it would control all the devices that are underneath the zone coordinator. The other thing I should cover in this video is really going down to the other parts of the system. So if I go into the rooftop itself, again, this is part of the zoning system. The rooftop, in this case, we're actually controlling a train system. It's not a York or JCI rooftop. It is providing, we have a controller called a BEC 100, and we can put this on a third-party unit to do changeover bypass or VAV. Excuse me. And in this case, you will see that since we did have a cooling call, and that we're trying to drive the supply temperature down to 55, and there's 2 stages of cooling running. I'm not going to go through all the details here. This is pretty, I don't want to make this video longer than it needs to, but there's commissioning stages here as well for that particular rooftop that needs to be covered in a different video. And I will do the same also, since this video has gotten a little bit longer, I will do the same on the zone dampers as well. This concludes the zone coordinator setup from the highest level, and hopefully you got some information that would be helpful for your first install of a zone coordinator in a zoning system for a changeover bypass under a Verasys system. Thanks for joining.